In this video we're going to look at footwork and how we should be recovering in badminton. Our first do's and don'ts, as you can see here, is recovery off of a high lift. We don't want to spring back to the middle, get there and stop. You'll see in these examples how Daryl is using a lot of energy to get back and then accelerate and build momentum to defend the next shot. I think of this a bit like your car. The more you stop-start, the more fuel you'll use, and it's the same here. One of the more efficient recoveries we can use, I call it skip back recovery. This is 2 steps, with the second being a split to move for the next shot. You'll see in these rallies how Daryl isn't rushing back, but keeping his movement smooth and timing his movement back to base so he splits in the middle when his opponent hits it. This allows him to have a nice rhythm with his footwork and is a more efficient way to travel after the high lift. In this split screen you've all been requesting, and I hope now it makes our points clearer. You'll see that Daryl looks like he's gliding around the court with ease, saving energy and moving with a nice rhythm. The next common mistake is how to recover after blocking to the net. What we quite often see is players that recover with a square on stance. This stance allows us to move sideways quickly, but if we've played a good block to the net, we only need to move forward and backwards. Our opponent won't be smashing or killing the shuttle. From these side-on examples, you'll see how it's very difficult to move forward and backwards quickly. It's also very difficult to shift our weight in the right direction, and even more difficult if they're playing deceptive shots around the net. As a result, you'll get the shuttle later at the front, making it difficult to take it early and counter-attack, and when flicked, it's hard to push back behind the shuttle to attack with good angles. This will allow our opponent to control the attack and dictate what happens in the rallies. We'd only recommend using this stance if you've played a weaker block and they're coming in to kill the shuttle. What we should be doing after blocking to the net is bringing our racket leg and hip in front and splitting in this position. This stance gets us better set up to transfer our weight forward and backwards more easily. We're now set up to push straight in with the back leg, allowing us to get to the net quickly. By getting to the shuttle earlier, we can now look to counter-attack because we'll have the option to play a tight net return or a flat flick off. We can now put weight on the front leg to help us accelerate and turn to the back with speed. By having some of our weight forward, it will allow us to push in the opposite direction quicker. This allows us to intercept the shuttle at a higher point in the rear court, giving us more attacking options and angles when hitting down. You're seeing these examples how I'm more easily able to stay in the rallies and keep it at a 50-50 and sometimes even turn the rally around to my advantage. This does rely on a good block and reading where they might hit next. The only time I wouldn't recover like this is if I've blocked and I'm anticipating a flick to my forehand rear corner. You'll see the top players like Ling Dan do this from time to time, but it all depends on how well you can read your opponent's patterns of play. In the split screen for this footwork recovery, you can clearly see the difference the position of our feet makes when it comes to covering the court more easily. I'm able to take the shuttle higher up at the net, and when moving backwards, I'm able to intercept and make contact with the shuttle at a much higher point. Our next mistake we see often is with the recovery after a smash. We see players sidestepping all the way back to the middle like this. This makes getting to the net quickly to take the shuttle early much more difficult. Not only are we travelling a longer distance, but we've got our weight going in the wrong direction, making it harder to take the straight return early. In these rallies, you'll see that Daryl isn't able to make the most of his smash and follow up to the net early. As a result of taking it later, he's unable to keep the initiative, apply more pressure and control the attack. This small mistake might let your opponent back into the rally. What we should be looking to do after a short lift is running straight into the net. We should do this because if we've hit a good smash, it's difficult for our opponent to lift or cross the shuttle, meaning a high percentage of their returns will be placed to the net. In the examples here, you'll see how Daryl is able to quickly get into the net with 2 steps, and running in like this is the fastest way to get there, helping him to kill the shuttle if it's a slightly weak return. Don't worry about the other shots, as I believe you'll still be able to get these by splitting and changing direction quickly. If you're smashing from the baseline or you hit a weaker smash, then yes, you would still need to sidestep. This is because we need to be slightly better prepared to change direction because our opponent has more time, but we still want to look for and anticipate a return to the net. This side-by-side slow-mo shows the difference in speed into the net with this recovery. It will provide you with more opportunities to attack and put our opponent under pressure or even win the point. Our next do's and don'ts is looking at our recovery from a clear. This one is very similar to the high lift we looked at earlier, where we don't want to rush back and stop, as it ruins our rhythm and timing when it comes to covering the court, and it doesn't give us the best chance to defend our opponent's attacking shots. In the examples you'll see how it makes my movement very jerky, which is inefficient, and it makes it difficult for me to accelerate quickly to pick up a low defensive shot. You can see when I'm rushing and panicking to get back to base how it's difficult for me to stop and change direction, slightly delaying my ability to move in the right direction. What we should be doing is what I call a walk back or a run back recovery. This is 2 relaxed steps back to base with the split being on the second step. This keeps our movement smooth, will save us energy and help us flow from one shot to the next with more ease. You'll notice how I'm not stopping and timing my recovery with when my opponent is going to hit the shuttle, meaning I get back to base and split precisely when the shuttle hits their racket. This allows me to use momentum from the recovery to move faster to the next shot. This is why the top players make covering the court look so easy. These side-by-side examples highlight the difference between the 2 recoveries and how one is smooth and efficient and how the other one is too fast and jerky. If you'd like to improve other areas of your footwork and help you cover the court more effectively, then click on this video here. And don't comment on our dancing and silliness, as we can't help ourselves when there's music on and we're filming.